right, so let's just get started. Let's get right to it. Yo, I will say this to start us off. I will say tonight, you guys know I'm not a Jordan guy. And I've seen countless of Jordan highlights. I've seen countless of Jordan games, etc. Today, bro, is the first time that I've gotten chills watching Michael Jordan. And I've I've seen that play. Remember last week when we went live and I was talking about the biggest play of that series wasn't even a shot. It was him leaving his man to go on the backside and steal the ball from Karl Malone. And just seeing him talk about it, how he knew Karl Malone was going to get that pin down there and then he was going to leave his man on the back. That gave me chills, bro. And then to watch it play out, Scottie Pippen saying, I just got to get the F out the way. You know what I'm saying? And just like Dennis Rodman saying, he's not passing that. Like that, yo, it showed you like this man was just different, bro. Like
different, yeah.
He's not going to lose that game. He was not going back to Chicago because I remember he said, I'm packing the suit, but just one. I'm not bringing back. I'm like, yo, so like, I got chills, bro, and I'm not even a Jordan guy, bro, but that gave me chills. Like, what do you guys think about, like, just this final episode and just everything entirely?
Well, first things first, I'm glad they cleared it up. It's not the flu. It was the food poisoning because that was big. I'm like, whole time I thought it was the flu and it was the food poisoning. So that was big. Second thing, Rodman. I think I would have had to square up with Rodman. I don't know if I could play with someone like that. I gotta leave. I gotta go. Every second you gotta leave. But like the thing is, he's just so good. You couldn't get too mad at him. But at the same time, bro, what are you doing? We're in the finals. What do you mean you gotta leave? Like
he's not like saying something. He's just disappearing. Like that's like you don't know if he's okay. What's wrong? Like
that was another thing for me. And then just really watching him do the three-peat again was just like, this wasn't the first time I got chills with Jordan because I just think Jordan is a GOAT. But watching him do the three-peat again was just like, I feel like I was there. And I wasn't even like really, I was 3 when he was shooting that. But I feel like I was there. With this documentary, I feel like I was in it. I was there. And like him having the three-peat, I feel like I was there in 1998. Again, like that was just big. Like I just felt it. And after I finished watching it, I'm like, damn, I feel like I just won. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like
that's the first time I felt like an MJ fan for 5 minutes. I'm not even gonna hold him. Like I just felt like I knew he takes the shot. I knew he makes it. I'm like, I'm just watching it like I've never seen it before. And I was getting chills. I'm like, why am I getting chills right now? It was so great. It was just so amazing, man.
You know, I look at, first of all, I think the flu game 12s work a lot better than the food poisoning 12s. Dennis Rodman, this guy's a visionary. He gets fined like $20,000 to miss media day. He made $250,000 from the NWO.
Right.
But I think for me, it was just so powerful watching it as like an adult because I grew up watching. My brother was a Jordan fan. My dad was a Lakers fan, but like we all loved Jordan. And to watch and even appreciate it more as an adult. And I got to have this moment where I remembered being with my family and my brothers. And they're around military and they have other jobs. And I'm a minister, so like our schedules don't link up that often. But for me, it was really just an emotional experience to see the last one. Because it really was like the end of an era for everybody. Like shortly thereafter, a couple years later, the whole world changes. It's just, it was it was emotional for me. I cried when I couldn't help it. Couldn't help it. It's too much. Amazing. It's incredible.
Yeah, I think I'll piggyback off your point. I just remember where I was like in '98 and watching it with my family and like all of us in the living room. And if you ever been around a bunch of Haitians, you know they're super loud. And for me, it's just like, what I took away from this is just that it was like a complete story, how the book started, the middle part, and the ending. And you couldn't have asked for a better way to end, you know, a franchise or, you know, someone's career. And what I appreciated was, you know, the route that they took to get it. And it showed that, like Floyd Mayweather said, it's hard work, it's determination. And to see how those players, like, yeah, they had their issues, whatever, but they genuinely love the game.
Right.
And sometimes nowadays you kind of see that missing. Like players, they don't care. But you see these guys are like, yo, I blew out my back, man, but I'm going to come back and try to help the team win. I hurt my back one time. I was on bed rest for like 3 weeks, bro.
Yeah.
So
no joke.
for you to come, I'd rather have a knee or a shoulder, not back.
Right.
Back injuries are the worst. But to see how, like, they fought for each other and how they was there and just, like, we got your back, man. It was, I got chills watching it. Like, damn, I know what's going to happen, but just to see it again, man.
And to elaborate on that, I tweeted like jokingly during while watching that Game 6 with Scottie Pippen's back, and I was like, if AD, because you know this whole dynamic of old school are the tough guys and the new school is soft. I'm like, if Anthony Davis, who's often injured, right, if he missed the game or left the game in the finals with a bad back, and we don't really know what's going on, people would kill him. And I'm like, it's not a good thing that people would kill him because that's not an injury that you play with. That stuff, you can't walk. If you have a bad back, you can't walk.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right. And I'm like, right. But like what fascinated me most when I tweeted that, I'm like, well, Scottie Pippen's like essentially no one's gonna care because it was the 90s. They know it'd have to be a real injury. But watching him, bro, he couldn't walk. Running in a crutch, like he looked like a duck out there, bro.
Can I ask you guys this? Does anybody here remember that? I don't.
I don't remember it.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I didn't know he was hurt. Nonetheless, that hurt to see him run. The way he was running, bro, there's no way that man should have been anywhere near a basketball court.
So much happened in that game. I think, Sean, you tweeted earlier, Rodman and Malone did they tangle up in Game 6. I don't even remember that's Game 6. So much was going on.
I knew they tangled. I didn't know what happened in Game 6 of the finals. Right. That blew me away because I'm like, it's that close to being a tech or an ejection for either way because those guys are two aggressive guys. It could lead to a quick fight, and one of them is out of there. Rodman can't be trusted. So that was pretty. That was dope.
But just watching this, man, it's like I tweeted earlier. You have to give Phil Jackson his credit because I don't think in today's game a coach can deal with the amount of nonsense. How do you? First of all, your owner and your GM doesn't even want anybody on the team. Right? and you guys are winning championships, but just to deal with a Dennis Rodman, to deal with contracts, to deal with players fighting each other, to deal with this dude, all the pressure on your back, and to go 6 for 6, and then a few years later win another 5, and he went through drama again with that team. Phil is up there, man. He's top 3 greatest coaches of all time, man.
Yep.
What do you guys think about that push off? Should they just dead it? Was that a push off or?
For the longest, ever since it happened, I've been calling it a push off.
Yeah, it was like
I believe it was not a push. Like this is
looking at it today, right?
Tonight, like
he's already going there. Like you're already stumbling.
I think I'm a Jordan fan now. I don't know what happened within that last 2 hours, but I think because the thing is, the way Jordan was breaking it down about how his momentum, which we all heard already, but Steve Kerr kind of broke down how the dude started, like Russell was stumbling before Jordan even came back on the cross.
Yeah.
Right.
So his footing wasn't under him. And then on top of that, it showed you the back angle where Jordan had his hand on him, but he didn't extend it.
A tap. It was a tap.
Yeah. Jordan's hand never extended. So it was like, no, that was not a push off. That's a clean play.
That kind of built into the whole beauty of the whole documentary because you have Bob Costas, who was one of the greatest to ever do it, kind of breaks it down. But the whole doc, and especially tonight, even episode 9, breaking down Kerr and Michael and the storytelling.
Oh my God,
awesome, bro! That was
I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Dude, I was fighting back tears, man.
Yo, that was awesome with Steve Kerr. He really came a long way, man. Like with his bad passing and like just being a small town guy. No scholarships, gets a scholarship on like the last straw to Arizona, to being trusted by MJ in a final series. Like that's I've always been a Steve Kerr guy, but now I have a different respect for him. What he had to go through to get to this point. Like he deserves it.
Dude, every player on the Bulls, and when you listen to their backstories, they didn't have it easy, man.
Right.
Scottie Pippen had 2 family members who were bound to a wheelchair. He came from extreme poverty. Right. Mike dealing with the issue with his dad. And tonight you're watching the Steve Kerr thing. Because I've heard about, like, what happened to his dad, but they never really got into detail. Right. And just to watch him, like, break it down and talk about it, I'm like, man, like, we're sitting here trying to fight off tears for a basketball documentary, right?
Right. Camille, did did the relationship with Jordan and his security guard catch you off guard? Because I didn't know who
Yes.
I was. That
Yes. I was just like, to be honest, no one knew who he was, and that's his mentor. And then for him to say that he filled in as a father figure for me,
Right.
I'm like, that's big, because Jordan's dad was like his everything. That was his right hand. That was his friend. That was his father.
So that was like he's
That's-
a private guy. So for him to bring this guy in and be
Yeah,
like, if
that's
I'm
my-
going somewhere, I need him there.
There, yeah. That took me off guard. I'm like, who would have thought a security guard would have that much power over one of the greatest? You know, that just showed Jordan how he relates to people as well, on and off the court too, I think. So for me, I was just like, he's a jerk, as they say, but I feel like he respected you for who you were. Like, you know what I mean? And for him to have a security guard come and be like, that's his mentor, to me, I was like, whoa, I never even heard about this story. Like, this is big to me too. I was like, wow, I'm a Gus fan now. So yeah, you know.
I mean, I think these episodes, if anything, showed me a different side of MJ. And not even like, let's say, a caring MJ, but a real MJ, like him getting close to this guy and like worrying about his health and, you know, telling the wife to take him out, you know, take him to the hospital because, you know, he's battling something.
Wow.
And then when homie gets back, not only does Jordan get him the game ball, I don't know if you guys caught that, but when he's in the locker room talking to him, Jordan was like, he's jokingly saying, we were struggling all this time because you weren't around and, you know, I need you here. Like, that was like an attachment, like like I held back tears there because it's like, he lost his dad. Now you're kind of like my dad, and
now you're my dad. Like,
while you were away, I struggled to grapple with how to you know handle this situation, and that was awesome.
I guess it almost speaks to the wisdom of Jordan and how he was raised, that his parents were so influential in his life. And as someone who works with kids, and I know, Sean, you can speak to this as an educator, just having two parents who are there and who care. I mean, Jordan probably doesn't sign with Nike without his mom. Like, I knew that.
Making the meeting.
Tells him, you're going to go take this meeting, and that's the rest is history. Right. But his dad was so close. And even after his dad passed away, he goes, oh, my security detail, those guys are the guys who are close to me. He knew that you needed some older, wiser people around you, not to tell you what to do, but to be there in the counsel of many, there's wisdom. You know, and I thought that was powerful I hope young kids watch this and realize if you have a mom and dad, cherish them, learn from them, listen to them. If you're a parent, do your best to pour into your kids. I was blessed to have two great parents, and Michael was blessed to have two great parents, but how many don't, and are the people who can step into those roles? And if you're a parent, can you be present in your kids' lives? It was just so telling as to why he was successful.
I mean, if you remember, I think it was episode 2 or 3, his rookie year in Chicago. There was one scene where he was like making his bed and sweeping up his room, and right there I caught it, like, wow, you know, he was raised well, because at that point he was making money. He could have easily hired someone to come in and do that, but is the structure that his parents and his family provided that got him there, right? How many times do you hear like a kid not making a baseball or a soccer team and their parents run up to the school like, yo, why my son didn't make the team? Why my daughter didn't make the team? They told him, like, listen, you just got to get better.
Right.
You know, like, if this is what you want, work at it and get better. Right. Try again next year. Right. You know, so it was kind of cool to see that, because we always hear about Mike being that dominant personality, like on and off the field, but to see these other sides, it was kind of dope to see that, man, because especially dudes who grow up and we kind of like, quote unquote, worship him. Right. You don't want your idols to be like some complete jerk. Right. You feel me? So to see that different side of him, like, all right, cool. Like, you treated people with respect. You helped kids out. After the game, he was signing autographs for the guys in the wheelchair. So that was a good side to see, man.
And just to piggyback off of that, I think what I liked about this episode as well was to see that, for me, even the greatest people in the world need a mentor or need someone on their side. Yeah. Because what I took away from that, okay, his dad died and that was his mentor essentially, and then Gus came around and that's my mentor now too. Like, you know what I mean? So that just makes me think, like, even when Kobe Bryant's mentor was Jordan. You know what I'm saying? So even if you're the greatest and you have your own motivation, it just goes to show that we need people, and that's what motivates you. And it showed that Jordan, he's the greatest, and he needed someone too on that side. That's what I took from that.
Yes, that's so powerful, because that's what I was going to get to, but you beat me to it. So good job at doing that. Piggybacking, essentially literally off the point that Paul was making about how, you know, how important it is when you cherish your parents and you actually listen to your parents, you know, in the meeting, or, you know what, you got cut from the junior high school team, from the junior varsity team, your junior year, so to say, try work harder and get better next summer and go be the greatest player of all time, right? But even when you don't have that, right, when you lose your father, you still need somebody. Like, we all need somebody. Like, we cannot do it alone. MJ, and again, this documentary shows you very well, whether it was the security guard to John Paxton, to Scottie Pippen, to Dennis Rodman, to Phil Jackson, to Steve Kerr. MJ, even though he's the greatest, he needed other people to gain their trust so that he could take this journey with him. And Steve Kerr said that very clearly. He was like, if MJ knew he could trust you come playoff time, you would go with him. You would go with him. That says a lot.
You know, to switch to a lighter note, I really want to know what the poem said that Michael wrote.
Word.
Like, roses are red, losing is hell, I'm the greatest, screw you, Scott Burrell. Like, it had to be something wild. Like,
to keep that lighter side and stay on Scott Burrell, that ending, you know, that with him joking with Jordan about going to California with him, I mean, that showed a different perspective as well within that whole meet. Because last week I was coming for Jordan's neck, like, you can't talk to another man like that. And I still stand by that, right? But this week, how he's joking with him, it just shows you that, like, it wasn't all bullying, quote unquote, right? It was like, I'm going to tell you this, but I still got love for you. And
I mean, Scott Burrell was on some podcast last week, and he said, first of all, everything is edited, so it looks worse than it was.
Okay.
And he said something that was very powerful. He was like, if I wasn't on that Bulls team, I would have never got a head coaching job, because it's hard for African Americans to get a head coaching job. Yeah. And he was just like, you know, it was hell, but I would do it all over again because it wasn't that bad. Like, there was still respect there. He's like, you know, I'm the butt of internet jokes now, but trust me, like, I'm good. So that kind of like swayed my, because again, like, you don't want, you know, someone to be internet famous over nonsense like that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the end of the documentary, they kind of touched on that. About how Jordan became like the first black athlete that was kind of like accepted by, you know, by everybody. Now he took the league global and so on and so forth. And it's true, like, he's like, we've had the Muhammad Ali's, but he wasn't accepted by, you know, by certain communities and cultures. So Jordan was the first person that black and white folk could be in the same place and be absolutely losing their minds because how great he is and not worried about racism within that specific point in time, which is big. It's been big for Kobe, for LeBron, and those guys who helped take the game, you know, from what MJ had it to the next level to where we go. So I think that's a really great point. We have about 7 minutes left. I want to stay true to time. I that's something that I'm working on this year. I have to talk about this because Jordan at the end, and this is the first time he's openly talked about it, about how he felt like if the Jerry Ramsdorff had come and say, okay, here's a one-year deal to everybody, Steve Kerr, you know, Pippen, him, even himself, Phil Jackson, he would have come back for another year to try to win 7. That's the first time we heard Jordan try to talk about winning 7, because we always said he wanted to leave at the peak of his career, and he said that. He said, I don't want to get dragged off the court. I want to walk off the court at my peak. So what do you guys make of that? Do you guys think, and he says we might have lost, but I would have liked to see us try to defend our 4th consecutive title, right? What do you guys make of that? Is that something that you would have liked to see, or are you content with him leaving after winning, you know, sticking that 6 in the air? That's one of my favorite pictures in sports history, by the way, the 6 and being able to walk off into the sunset.
No, I say come back again. Let's try it again, and then if we lose, we can say, you know, we're defending our title. That's it.
It's everything. If he loses, that changes everything.
I mean, what does it change? What does it really change? At the end of the day, the what?
6-0. We can never say he's 6-0 again.
True, but he's 6. He's 6-1.
Look at it like this, right?
It doesn't ring.
But here's the thing: who's the greatest QB of all time? Tom Brady. He's 6-3. Nobody remembers the 3 losses.
That's why some people argue Joe Montana. That's why some people argue Joe Montana. Am I right, Paul?
And that's why I always bring it up. At this point, I mean, 6-3 in the Super Bowl. You know how hard it is to just get to 9 Super Bowls, man?
Yeah, Super Bowls are
like,
different.
You can't. That's what I'm saying. And he won 6, and the 3 that he lost was by like some fluke games. You know, I mean, you're a Giants fan.
I was gonna say, don't do that.
But you get what I'm saying.
Don't do that.
But I think if they came back, I don't know if they're beating the Spurs.
Spurs
teams they were just too big up front.
Mm-hmm.
And every series that you watch, they had problems with the big guys up front. Karl Malone looked like Jordan in this series.
Yeah.
I don't remember him hitting so many 15-foot jumpers.
Oh, he was automatic from
he was automatic, you know.
So,
I mean, the Bulls could have won, but that Spurs team was real. And even that New York team, too, with Allen Houston, Larry Johnson, Pacers team. So we don't know, man. But it's good that he left it at 6.
I think so too.
I say go again. I say try it one more time. I love winning so much. Try it one more time, and I know that Jordan, his grit and the team's DNA will go into the finals and win. And try it one more time. Bet on yourself. Yeah. Try it one more time. That's what I say.
So I love both points actually. I think it's great. I think it definitely makes it even more of this like Disney-esque like storybook ending where like. He did it. He's 6-0. He's the greatest. He's undefeated. It probably adds to his lore that he didn't come back. But you also think the next year was strikes shortened season. They didn't play full 82. Mm-hmm. So that might even help Michael with his physicality. He doesn't have to go through a full 82 games. It was a 50-game season, I believe.
Yeah, I think 49, yeah.
But if you look at like bigger teams, that 98 year, they swept the Magic who had beat them, or the 96. He swept Shaq and Horace Grant. And that was a team.
Yeah, but the '98 Bulls weren't the same. They weren't.
Yeah, they weren't the same.
Oh, hear me out. That's my third thing. Okay. I say, I would have loved for them, like Camille. I would love for them to come back and play one more year. Like you're gonna have to beat us. You're gonna have to beat us for us to be beaten like a Spartan warrior. Like I'm being carried off of my shield. You're gonna have to beat me on the floor for me not to be the champion. But Jerry Krause. That freaking gutless weasel.
Oh, my God.
He ruined it at the beginning of 98. He said things he didn't have to say. He poisoned it. You could have held that belief. You could have held that and said, listen, in private, you could be like, 82-0, it doesn't matter. He's gone. We're done. We're moving on. But
how do you say that, bro?
That's the thing. Why did he not want Phil? What is the reason?
That's what I want to know.
He was jealous of their fame. Jealous of Phil getting the credit, Michael getting the credit. I mean, that's why he makes the comment.
How does an owner allow you to do that?
It's not players.
Dude,
how does an owner
a lot of people don't know this. Jerry Reinsdorf is one of the cheapest owners. And last week I found out that he's one of the reasons why the MLB went into a strike in 94. It was because of Jerry Reinsdorf. He was a key component in that. So this dude was cheap. Right, and he would pump Jerry Krause with all this crazy talk, and he would play the good cop. Jerry Krause would play the bad cop. Because I'm not telling the coach who's 6-0 in the finals you're not coming back. Right. I'm not telling the coach it doesn't matter if you go 82-0 you're not coming back. Like, dude, why?
And GM is crazy enough to do that without knowing the owner back. Like, there's no way the GM is doing that without knowing the owner got my back. Like, come on.
Once Jerry Krause said that, it was over. That was
because he can't go back on his word. You can't. How'd that look?
Right. And so, I mean, go ahead, G.
One last thing, and I mean, I don't think he was coming back because one thing I never realized watching him growing up, dude, and obviously I wouldn't pay attention to this, but mentally, those guys were done too, man.
Oh yeah.
Mike was done, bro.
Yeah.
Mike was done, man. You could just watching the game. Like I don't even remember him being that tired in '98. I'm thinking he's running down the court, dunking on people,
right.
And he's sitting on the like, damn, we got 5 more seconds, man. I can't wait to get out of here. Right. So that mental toll was done, man.
Yeah, but if everybody was able to come back, forget that mental, he'd have been like, I'm the best. I gotta show them that I'm the best. That's what the best do. I gotta show them I'm the best. Forget that mental. I'm the best. I gotta come back. They gotta beat me. That's it. Period. Like
we'll never know.
We'll never know.
We got about 30 seconds left. Yo, this was dope. I wish we had done this more throughout the documentary. But we'll get back together again soon. I appreciate you guys and look forward to y'all seeing this.
All righty, guys. Have a great night.
Later.